Discover the incredible moment a kind nurse transformed a billionaire's life in his darkest hour. James Mitchell lay propped in a sterile hospital bed, skin pale and frail, a glaring contrast to the mahogany boardroom tables he once ruled. The ceaseless beeping of machines punctuated the silence of his stark room, a cruel reminder of a life reduced to numbers and algorithms. His empire, crafted from blood, sweat, and sometimes ruthless ambition, felt eerily distant now. He had spent decades clawing his way to the top, but in that moment, he realized it had all come at a steep cost: his relationships, his family, and, above all, his heart. As he stared blankly at the ceiling, memories flooded back, business meetings blaring with corporate jargon, neglected birthdays, and his daughter's vanished laughter. In his relentless pursuit of success, he had alienated everyone who once mattered. But now, he was just a man vulnerable and broken, battling an illness that echoed the hollowness of his past choices. Then came Mia Thompson, a spirited 30-year-old nurse with a heart of gold. With her tousled brown hair and soothing smile, she brought a slice of sunshine into his dim reality. "Good morning, Mr. Mitchell," she chirped as she entered, carrying a tray laden with medications and a sneaky hint of compassion. She approached with genuine kindness, a refreshing balm to his withering spirit. "How are we feeling today?" At first, James scoffed. "How do you think?" he muttered, a frown etched on his forehead. But Mia wasn't deterred. She settled beside him, ignoring the icy walls he'd built. "I know this is rough. I used to be afraid of hospitals, too. But they can be a place for healing, you know." In her gentle way, Mia started sharing stories from her small-town life, hilarious mishaps during community events, family barbecues gone wrong, and the lively antics of her younger brother who reminded her daily of the value of love, laughter, and belonging. James found himself chuckling despite his grim situation. There was something infectious about her spirit, a warmth he hadn't felt in years. He began looking forward to her daily visits, finding an odd solace in her unassuming wisdom. But then, just as things began to brighten, the door creaked open, and Emma Mitchell stepped inside. The atmosphere shifted dramatically, a whirlwind of anger and sorrow. There she stood, his estranged daughter, with eyes glistening like shards of broken glass. "Dad, you don't get to just check out of my life and walk in here like you're still the king." Her voice trembled with an intensity that struck at the very core of his being. Her confrontation cut deep. Memories of missed call after missed event suffocated him. She released years of pent-up frustration, demanding accountability for the emotional absence that had haunted her. In her gaze, James could see the remnants of the little girl he failed to nurture. Standing at this painfully chiseled crossroads, he was forced to reckon with the hard truths of his life. Mia watched, concern etched in her features. When she later sat beside him, the hum of machines filled the silence. "You don't have to decide now, James," she whispered. "But think about what really matters. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Mia's heartfelt words lingered as James faced unyielding choices. A lucrative deal dangled before him, promising to restore his empire. But at what cost? He could feel the weight of his daughter's pain heavy on his heart. Would he choose the glimmer of ambition or the faint light of reconnection? As his phone buzzed with a confirmation for the business deal, the air thickened with tension. How long had he chased the hollow prospect of success, leaving his family in the shadows? Emma's expression flickered before him, imbuing the space with vulnerability. Standing there, enveloped in uncertainty, he felt a rush of vulnerability clawing at his chest. Could it be possible that amidst the chaos of his crumbling empire, redemption was only a conversation away? As the echoes of his choices lingered in the sterile air, a flicker of hope ignited within him. What path would he choose, one leading to mere riches, or a chance at mending his heart? The decision loomed larger with every heartbeat, leaving the wait for a resolution suffocating yet exhilarating. The morning light spilled softly through the window, punctuating the sterile air with a golden hue. James lay in his bed, the weight of the world pressing against his chest. He kept replaying the confrontation with Emma in his mind, her words like a haunting melody. "You don't get to just check out of my life and walk in here like you're still the king." Each syllable rang in his ears, refusing to diminish like fading echoes that linger long after the song has ended. His heart raced as he glanced toward Mia, who entered the room with her gentle smile and the look of a person unburdened by the weight he carried. That same warmth he had come to adore flickered in her eyes as she approached, holding a stack of freshly printed documents. "Hey, Mr. Mitchell, thought you'd want to see these," she said, her voice a soothing hum against the stark backdrop of clinical machinery. James nodded, but his thoughts drifted to Emma, to the pain of her words, the anger, the disappointment. Was there any coming back from that? The documents in Mia's hand blurred as his mind filled with a fog of regret. "Mia," he started, hesitance tugging at his tongue, "do you think it's too late, for me?" Her brow furrowed slightly, concern deepening the lines on her forehead. "It's never too late if you truly want to change," she replied, her voice steady. "We all make mistakes. It's how we deal with them that matters." Her words struck a deep chord within him. Could he really rebuild those shattered connections? As he turned the pages in his mind, a new determination began to forge. "I need to talk to her. I need to be honest," he said, more to himself than anyone else. The thought excited and terrified him all at once, but every ounce of his being whispered that it was the right step to take. Just then, Mia's phone rang, breaking the tension in the air. She stepped out of the room for privacy, leaving James with his thoughts. Alone, he felt the silence wrap around him like an anxious shroud. The beeping machines provided a strange comfort, steady reminders of life as he worked through the emotional turmoil edging up to the surface. Within those moments of solitude, an epiphany blossomed. Heart racing, he scrolled through his contacts. He hesitated as he hovered over Emma's name. Would she even pick up? Or would he be greeted with silence, a stark response reflecting their fractured past? He took a deep breath, preparing for what felt like the first real step towards healing. Before he could think again, he hit call. His fingers trembled slightly as it rang on the other end. The anticipation was electric, and when he heard a soft voice answer, his pulse quickened. "Hello? Emma," he breathed, the name sounding foreign yet familiar, like a long-lost melody. "It's your dad." Her silence stretched, palpable yet filled with uncertainty. "Dad?" There was disbelief in her voice, mingled with a touch of longing he couldn't ignore. "I need to talk to you," he said, even more resolute now. "About everything." Please. The connection crackled with emotion, and James could feel the weight of years hanging in the air. Just then, Mia walked back in, catching his hopeful gaze. She didn't need to ask, the look on his face said it all. The future was now right there within reach, and as he continued to speak, he could feel something shifting, a potential for reconciliation that was both terrifying and exhilarating. But as he poured out his heart, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. What if his journey wasn't just about mending a relationship with Emma? What if embracing this chance for transformation meant confronting deeper truths within himself? As the conversation unfolded, a question loomed large in his mind. Could he really step into this new chapter of his life, one that promised connection and healing, and leave behind the shadows of the man he used to be? "Dad?" Emma's voice quivered, a mixture of surprise and something deeper he couldn't quite place. "Yeah, it's me," James said, his eyes glassy with unshed tears. I want to talk. Really talk. It's important." Silence enveloped them again, this time a heavy pause where so much remained unspoken. He could imagine her hesitating, likely searching for the right words, or maybe just trying to digest the weight of the call. "Okay," she finally said, quiet but steady. "What do you want to say?" His heart raced, the moment stretching like a taut wire ready to snap. "I've messed up, Emma. I know that. I wasn't there when you needed me. I thought I was doing what was best, but I wasn't. I was just being selfish." She inhaled sharply. "Selfish? You mean to say you just disappeared? You can't just come back and pretend everything is fine." "I know, I don't expect it to be easy," he admitted, choking on his words as he remembered so many missed birthdays, school plays, and quiet moments they never shared. "But I want to try. I want to be part of your life again if you'll let me." Her breath caught on the line. "Why now? Why after all this time?" Because I'm learning how much I've lost. I've been sitting in this hospital bed, thinking about everything that really matters, and you are at the top of that list. I'm scared, Emma. I want to fight for you, for us. But I need your help." Mia watched him, concern etching lines on her brow. The atmosphere in the room felt electric, charged with hope and fear. James couldn't look away from the phone, waiting for Emma's response, praying for even a flicker of understanding. "Well," she said slowly, her voice almost a whisper, "I don't know if it's that simple. I've lived so much without you. I don't want to take your life away from you. I just want a chance to be a part of it again," he pleaded. "And what if I don't want that?" Her words struck hard as if they were bricks landing on his heart. "I'll understand, but I need to know that I at least tried." He could hear her drawing a deep breath, the weight of their history pressing down heavily on both of them. "You know, Dad, maybe trying is all I want. My mom, she missed you too. But, she didn't know how to make it work either." James winced at the mention of her mother. Those memories felt like ghosts coming alive. "I'm so sorry, Emma. I never wanted it to be like this. I should have fought harder for both of you." "Fighting won't change the past," she replied softly. "But maybe it can change the future." The sincerity in her tone cut through him. He felt a flicker of hope igniting in his chest. "So you're willing to talk? To see where this might go?" Emma paused, and James could almost hear her weighing his words. "I'll think about it. That's all I can promise right now." It wasn't the full reunion he'd hoped for, but it was a beginning. "Thank you, Emma," he said, the relief washing over him like a gentle wave. "Just knowing you're open to thinking about it means everything to me." As he hung up the phone, Mia stepped closer, her eyes shining with understanding. "How did it go?" she asked gently. "It's a start," he replied, a newfound determination settling in his chest. But beneath it all, another realization gripped him, a gnawing worry that for every inch he gained, he might still be standing on shaky ground. Mia tilted her head, assessing him with kindness. "You're not just talking about Emma anymore, are you?" James sighed heavily, knowing exactly what she meant. "No, I guess not. It's time I faced everything, my past, my mistakes, all of it. Just remember, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step," she reminded him, a smile breaking through the shadows. "I need to take bigger steps, Mia. This isn't just about me and Emma. It's about the man I want to become for her and for myself." As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, casting an orange glow across the room, James felt the stirrings of something powerful within him. Little by little, he was ready to confront the demons that had haunted him for too long. But as he sat there, the weight of his decisions loomed large and unyielding. Would he be brave enough to face all that was looming on the horizon? What if the battle wasn't only against his regrets, but a test of the strength to let love back into his life? James lay back on the hospital bed, his thoughts swirling. Emma's words had ignited a spark, a feeling of connection he'd thought lost forever. But how could he build something new on the ashes of his past? The walls of his room felt both a comfort and a cage, reminders of a life he pushed away for far too long. "Hey," Mia's voice broke through his brewing storm, soft and soothing. "How are you holding up?" She had become his anchor these last few days. He smiled faintly at her concern. "It's hard to explain. I feel this strange mix of hope and fear." "I get that," she nodded, her presence grounding him. "It's not just about making one call. It's the first step in a long journey." James nodded, appreciating her wisdom. "You know, it's not just Emma I need to fix things with. I've been running from myself too." "Facing the past is never easy," Mia replied, her brows furrowed with empathy. "But you can't rewrite history. You can only make today count." Her words settled in his heart, pushing him to think of those moments he had taken for granted, soft days spent laughing with Emma, the warm evenings spent with her mother. Each moment weighed heavily like bricks he now had to lift. "I need to see her," he said suddenly, a resolve rising inside him. "Not just over the phone. I want to meet her in person, to show her I'm different, that I'm ready." Mia's eyes sparkled with encouragement. "That's a brave decision, James. Have you thought about what you'd say?" A lump formed in his throat. "I thought I could just tell her everything. About my journey, how I've changed, that I'm ready to be her dad again." Mia smiled softly. "Just remember, she might need time to process all of it. Relationships take work." "I know," he said. "I just wish I could make it all unhurt. I want her to understand how deeply I regret everything that happened." Mia didn't respond right away. Instead, she reached out and took his hand. It was a simple gesture, yet it filled the room with warmth and understanding. "No one can take away your past, but you can help heal it. It's enough to just be there for her, even if it's just little steps for now." James felt a swell of gratitude for her support. "Thank you, Mia. I don't know what I'd do without you." "Hey, we're in this together," she replied, her voice steady and soothing. "Maybe after your visit with Emma, we could talk about your next steps. There's a whole world out there that needs your light." He nodded slowly. With renewed resolve, he thought about his daughter. Would she still look at him the same way? Could he fill in the spaces he'd left empty? The thought both thrilled and terrified him. As the evening wore on, he began planning the details of their meeting. They could meet at the park, a neutral ground that wouldn't feel like the confines of a hospital or the weight of unresolved issues. But as the sun completely set, casting the room in soft shadows, he felt a nagging fear creep back in. What if she didn't want to see him? What if his presence only reopened old wounds instead of healing them? "Are you okay?" Mia's gentle inquiry drew his focus back to her. "I'm just scared," he admitted, the words slipping out as a sigh. "What if I push her away again?" "Then you will have to respect her feelings," Mia said calmly. "But you can't control every reaction, James. You can only show up with love and honesty." He felt the weight lift a little. "You're right. I can't predict how she'll respond, but maybe just being there will show her I care." Mia squeezed his hand again before standing up. "Then let's make a plan for tomorrow. You can do this, James. Just take that leap of faith." As she walked away, he felt a wave of determination wash over him. Solving the puzzle of his relationship with Emma wouldn't come overnight, but taking that first step felt essential. He could already envision their reunion, the hesitation, the joy, the potential for something extraordinary. Yet as he turned off the light, darkness enveloped him once more, and the question echoed in his mind: if he reached for Emma and she turned away, would he have the courage to keep trying, even when the path seemed unsure? The morning light filtered through the hospital window, spilling golden rays over James's face. For the first time in weeks, he felt a flicker of excitement mixed with his anxiety. Today was the day he would finally confront his past, a day he knew was long overdue. He took a deep breath as he got out of bed, feeling the weight of his decision settle solidly on his shoulders. Mia had promised to be there, but the thought of facing Emma alone filled him with apprehension. Would she even want to see him? The fear gnawed at him, but it felt different this morning. It felt like fuel, urging him forward. "Hurry up, James. It's almost time," Mia called from the other side of the curtain, her voice bubbling with enthusiasm. Okay, I'm coming," he replied, slipping on his old sneakers. The worn fabric felt comfortable as if grounding him in the moment. He peeked at his reflection in the small bathroom mirror. Tired eyes stared back at him, but there was a hint of resolve, too. Once dressed, he stepped out into the hallway, where Mia was waiting with an encouraging smile. "You look ready." James chuckled lightly. "Ready or just scared out of my mind?" "Both." She laughed softly. "Remember, it's okay to feel what you're feeling. Just be honest with her. That's all you can do." As they made their way to the exit, James felt a strange mixture of hope and fear. The expansive waiting area was filled with quiet conversations and the soft beeping of machines. But all he could focus on was the upcoming reunion. Each step felt monumental, a reminder of how far he had come and how far he still had to go. When they arrived at the park, the sun was shining bright, illuminating the vibrant green of the grass and the colorful blooms that danced gently in the breeze. It was a stark contrast to the sterile hospital walls he had grown used to. It felt alive, hopeful, as if welcoming him back to the world he had neglected for too long. Mia turned to him, her expression serious now. "Are you ready?" James swallowed hard. "I think so." "No turning back, huh?" "Never." They found a quiet spot beneath a sprawling willow tree, its branches swaying gently in the wind. He took a seat on a nearby bench, a sense of calm washing over him for a brief moment. Then, anxiety rode in again, the thought of Emma sending his heart racing. "Do you want me to stay or?" Mia offered tentatively. "No, I need to do this alone," he said, almost to convince himself. "Thank you for everything, Mia. I wouldn't be here without you." With a nod, Mia retreated a few steps, giving him just enough space to focus. The park bustled with families and laughter, a lively sound that contrasted sharply with the silence in his mind. Minutes felt like hours as he waited, leaning forward, scanning the pathway anxiously. Would she come? Just then, he spotted a figure in the distance. A small girl with dark hair tied in pigtails walked hand in hand with a woman who looked all too familiar. His breath caught in his throat. It was Emma. As they drew closer, he noticed the woman's hesitant, unsure expression, as if she were contemplating every step. James's heart raced. What if she didn't recognize him? What if she turned away? "James!" Emma called, her voice piercing through the noise of the park, and in that moment everything else faded away. He stood up slowly, a mixture of dread and hope twisting in his stomach, unsure if he should take another step forward. Would she shy away, or would she embrace him? "Can I come closer?" He finally managed to ask, his voice shaky as he said the words he had rehearsed 1,000 times in his head. Emma's eyes widened, searching for answers he could only hope to provide. In that fleeting moment, he saw her fear mirrored in his own. "Do you really want to?" she asked quietly, her small voice carrying the weight of their shared history. And just like that, time stood still. Would she let him in, or would that question shatter all the hope he had built? James took a deep breath, ready to reveal the truth about his past and his longing for a future with her. The moment was fragile. Like a breath held too long. "Emma," he started, feeling the power of the moment wash over him. But before he could say another word, something unexpected happened, something that changed everything. Just then, a small voice piped up from behind Emma. "Mom, who's that?" A little girl with bright, curious eyes peered at James, her pigtails bouncing as she tugged at Emma's hand. The innocent inquiry hung in the air, intensifying the moment's weight. Emma glanced down at her daughter, then back at James. The confusion in her expression deepened, and James felt the ground beneath him shift. Did she not want to introduce him? Or worse, did she want to protect her daughter from him? This is James, she managed, her voice trembling ever so slightly. He's an old friend. Old friend. The words felt like jagged pieces of glass, cutting through the fragile hope he had built. Not only was he uncertain if Emma wanted him in her life, but now there was a child who may be the center of Emma's universe. Hi. The girl chirped, extending her hand in a gesture so pure it shook him to his core. Do you want to be my friend, too? James felt a lump swell in his throat. I do like that, he said, kneeling slightly to meet her curious gaze. What's your name? Lila. She announced proudly, beaming. Do you want to play with us? The innocence radiating from Lila made the shadows of James's past feel even heavier. He hadn't just been absent from Emma's life, he was also missing from this little girl's story. Would he even belong here? Maybe later, Emma interjected gently, her smile faltering. James and I need to talk first. The tension was palpable, wrapping around them like the encroaching dusk. James could see the uncertainty in Emma's eyes. She was wrestling with so many emotions: fear, protectiveness, and perhaps deep-rooted hurt. It struck him that she had built a life without him. Could he even fit into it now? Emma, he started, but she lifted a hand, stopping him. There was something unspoken between them, an echo of memories that seemed to bind them together even as they stood apart. I don't know how to do this, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. You disappeared. We tried to move on, and then her words trailed off, haunted by the silence of missed years. Look, James felt the weight of all his regrets pressing down. I know I hurt you. I want to explain. I've changed. I've been working on myself. If you give me a chance, I promise I'll be honest. Emma's eyes widened, a flicker of hope mingling with doubt. But how can I trust you again? He opened his mouth to respond, but the words got stuck. For all his rehearsed speeches, this felt raw and unfiltered. I don't know. But I'm here. Right now. I just want the chance to make it right. Lila shifted impatiently, her excitement morphing into youthful confusion. Can we go play now? She looked between the two adults, as if they were two sides of a coin. Whatever you're talking about sounds boring. A soft chuckle escaped James despite the heaviness in his heart. It reminded him that this wasn't just about reconnecting with Emma, but about stepping into a new reality, a future that included Lila. He glanced over at Emma, searching for a sign, a glimmer of acceptance. Would she keep him at arm's length, or would she step closer, embracing the possibility of forgiveness? Emma, please, let us just talk. Together. All three of us, he urged, feeling both vulnerable and hopeful. It was a leap of faith, one that could either bridge their worlds or leave them shattered. As he held Emma's gaze, waiting for her response, he noticed the tension in her shoulders begin to melt just a little. Could it be? But at that moment, something shifted in the distance. A shadow loomed just beyond the tree line, a figure that seemed vaguely familiar, stirring dread deep within him. James's heart raced, and suddenly, the reality of their fragile moment felt distinctly jeopardized. Who's that? Emma's voice broke through his thoughts, eyes narrowing. The weight of uncertainty settled back in, just as the shadowed figure took a step forward. James's pulse quickened. What now? The figure emerged slowly from the shadows, stepping into the fading light of the day. As it came closer, the tension in the air thickened, wrapping around them with an undeniable sense of dread. James's heart raced in his chest, the familiar silhouette sending shockwaves through him. David? Emma's voice was barely more than a whisper, but the name echoed in the increasingly tense atmosphere. James shifted from Emma to the man now standing just a few feet away, a tall figure with an air of confidence that could easily fill the space between them. "Yes, it's me," David replied, a smirk creeping across his face. "Didn't he expect to see the two of you here together?" Every ounce of hope James felt began to deflate. This was no coincidence. He knew David well, his former business partner and the man responsible for many of James's poor decisions. The man who had helped build a life that was now nothing more than broken shards. "Why are you here?" Emma's tone was firm, but there was a tremor underneath, as if she were shielding herself from something she felt was coming. Lila sensed the shift and clutched Emma's hand, looking back and forth between the two adults. "Just passing through," David said casually, but the glint in his eyes betrayed a hidden agenda. "Thought I'd check on you. You know how things went down, thought you might need some support." James stood, anger surging within him. "Support? You were the reason I should, James." Emma shot him a warning look. "This isn't the time." But James felt the weight of the moment, and the urgency pushed him forward. "I'm not letting him rewrite history, Emma. He was toxic. He still is." Lila squeezed Emma's hand tighter, sensing the growing storm. "Mom, can we go play?" she asked, her face scrunching up with confusion. "I don't like this." Emma knelt down, her eyes softening as she spoke to her daughter. "Just a minute, sweetie. Let me handle this, okay?" David stepped forward, his demeanor shifting from relaxed to predatory. "You think you can just come back and everything will be fine? You think they'll want you, James? After everything?" "I'm trying to change, David." James shot back, his voice rising with emotion. "I want to be in their lives. I want to be here for Emma and Lila." "And what makes you think they want you?" David asked, almost taunting. "She's built a life without you. Look at that little girl. You think you can just step in? You think you deserve them?" James felt the walls closing in. He looked at Emma, then down at Lila, who had stepped in front of her mother protectively, her small frame shaking. Shadows danced across their faces, the afternoon light fading. "Leave us alone, David," Emma said, her voice steady despite the fear dancing in her eyes. "Why? So you can rekindle something that was a disaster from the start?" "There's no happy ending here, Emma," he sneered. With every word, the ground beneath James felt more unstable. It wasn't just about proving himself anymore, it was about standing against the very darkness that had once consumed him. "Enough!" he finally shouted, his voice cutting through the tension. "I won't let you do this. To us. To them." Lila looked up at him, wide-eyed, sensing the strength behind his words. Then James turned to Emma, desperation and sincerity etched on his face. "You have to know I'm here to stay. I want this. I want you both, but not if he's around." Emma held his gaze for a moment, the conflict raging in her eyes. Then she turned back to David, firm and unwavering. "We're done here. Get out." David smirked, but there was a hint of uncertainty in his expression. "We'll see about that," he called over his shoulder as he retreated, casting a final glance at Emma. Silence hung heavy in the aftermath, and James felt the weight of his world balance on the precipice of this moment. He needed to make this right, he needed Emma to see he was serious, but fear was a cloud in his heart. As he looked down at Lila, who was still hanging onto Emma's hand tightly, he felt a flicker of hope. "Can we play now?" she repeated, this time louder, as if the innocence in her voice could break the tension tied to their futures. James knelt before her, and the warmth of her smile broke through. "Yes, we can. If your mom says yes." Emma looked at him, a storm of emotions unspooling in her chest. The moment hung in the balance. I need to think," she said finally, uncertainty lacing her words. But looking behind at the retreating figure of David, a worry began to creep in like a cold draft settling in their midst. How could she trust James again, and how long before David would return? The question lingered heavy in the air, and as they stood on the cusp of a new beginning, the fading light shadowed over bright hopes, leaving them all wondering, could they truly move on when shadows from the past were still chasing after them? The air was thick with uncertainty as Lila's question hung between them, the child's innocence a stark contrast to the tension that had just unfolded. Emma knelt, her heart battling a whirlwind of emotions. She loved James, but the shadows of the past loomed large, and David's words still echoed in her mind. "Lila, how about we go to the park tomorrow?" Emma suggested, trying to divert her daughter's attention and gather her own thoughts. "Can we get ice cream?" Lila's eyes sparkled with possibility, a bright spot against the dimness of their situation. "Of course," Emma replied softly, managing a small smile. Yet, the weight of David's return settled like a rock in her gut. James watched them, the warmth his daughter exuded filling him with a flicker of hope. "We can pick out the biggest ones, together," he added, his voice brimming with sincerity. Lila's laughter floated through the air, a sound that felt foreign after the confrontation moments ago. But Emma could only nod, her smile faltering. They had to be careful. David was right about one thing: she had worked hard to rebuild her life, one fragile piece at a time. "Mom?" Lila tugged on Emma's sleeve, drawing her back from her thoughts. "Can we go home now? I want to draw." "Sure, sweetie," Emma said, gently taking Lila's hand. But when she met James's gaze, the worry creased her brow again. You need to be careful." "I will be," he promised, stepping a little closer. "But I'm here for you both. I want to prove that." Emma swallowed hard, torn between the promise of a better tomorrow and the fear of what David might do next. "It's not just about the good intentions, James. You know that, right? We have to face what's in front of us." "I'll face it with you." "I want this," he reiterated, and even as he spoke, shadows of doubt clouded Emma's heart. Lila pushed open the door to their home, a warm light spilling out as they entered. It felt comforting yet fragile, like the delicate balance they were all trying to maintain amidst the chaos. "Let us draw a giant ice cream cone," Lila declared, skipping toward her art supplies. James followed, but Emma lingered in the doorway for just a moment longer. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. James took a step toward her, reaching out. "Emma, please, let me process this," she interrupted gently, the plea in her voice audible. "Okay," he said, backing off slightly but not breaking eye contact. "Mom!" Lila called, focusing on her colors as she began to sketch. "Come see." Emma turned to join her, but worry gnawed at her insides. She knew David wouldn't stay away forever. The thought was like a heavy curtain settling, blocking out morning light even while the sun shone brightly outside. As Lila chatted away, Emma felt that flickering hope and growing worry clash inside her chest. "Can we add sprinkles?" Lila asked, prompting Emma to smile and nod as she sat beside her on the floor. "Definitely. Sprinkles make everything better," she replied, her mind drifting to the thought of David lurking just outside their lives, waiting. James leaned against the wall, watching Emma interact with their daughter. He felt that heat again, a determination surging inside him. He would prove David wrong. But was proving change enough? "Emma?" James's voice broke into her thoughts, and she turned, their eyes locking. "Whatever happens, we will face this together. I promise." The sincerity in his voice was palpable, but doubt still hung between them like thick fog. Before Emma could respond, the doorbell rang, slicing through the moment. The sound echoed in the small space, each chime a reminder that nothing was ever truly safe. "Who could that be?" she asked, a feeling of unease creeping back. James's expression hardened, and he moved instinctively towards the door. "Wait!" Emma called out, apprehension flooding through her. But the door creaked open before she could stop him. Their world shifted once again. James. Emma. A familiar voice called, and Emma's heart dropped. Moments of hope could crumble with just one unwelcome visitor. What would happen next? Would the past come crashing back, or could they finally turn the page? Emma's heart raced as she recognized the voice. It belonged to Clara, her old friend and nurse from the hospital where Emma had spent countless nights after Lila's birth. The warmth of her presence should have felt like a balm, but the tension in the air made it sting instead. "Clara," Emma said, forcing a smile as she stepped further into the room. Lila was oblivious, focused on her drawing, but Emma sensed the weight of the moment. Clara looked flushed, her usually bright demeanor dimmed. I'm sorry to drop by unannounced," she stammered. "I wanted to check on you both and see how you were doing." James's posture relaxed slightly, but Emma felt her walls begin to rise again. Why had Clara come to visit now? She exchanged glances with James, who silently urged her to be open. "Everything's okay," Emma replied, a hint of hesitation in her voice. "Just dealing with some things." Clara's brow furrowed. "I know about David," she said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm so sorry, Emma. You shouldn't have to face this alone." The room fell silent, Lila's crayon scratching against the paper the only sound. Emma held her breath. "How did you know?" she asked, the words tumbling out with a mix of surprise and dread. "Word travels," Clara said, visibly uncomfortable. "I was worried about you. You left such an impression on me, and I just wanted to make sure you're all right." James stepped closer to Emma, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "We're doing our best," he said softly, but his voice carried an undertone of protectiveness. "Have you thought about what to do?" Clara asked, glancing between them. "I know it's scary, but there are resources. You don't have to face this alone." Emma felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She appreciated Clara's concern but wasn't ready to discuss their plan or lack thereof, not with Lila so close by. "We're figuring it out, really. Right, James?" James nodded, but the tension in his jaw told Emma he was feeling the pressure of the conversation. "Maybe we could talk in private?" Clara suggested, a flicker of understanding in her eyes. Emma hesitated. "Lila, why don't you finish your drawing?" It was an attempt to give them a moment alone, but the pit in her stomach only deepened. Was now truly the right time for secrets and plans? "Okay, Mom." Lila chirped, her voice cutting through the heavy atmosphere. She was blissfully unaware, which Emma was thankful for. As Clara led the way to the kitchen, Emma took a steadying breath. She could feel James's eyes on her, the unsaid questions lingering between them like ghosts. Once in the kitchen, Clara leaned against the counter, her expression earnest. "You're strong, Emma. But David, he is serious." "I know," Emma whispered, her voice trembling. "But what if he finds us?" "He might, and that's why you need to protect yourself and Lila." "I'm willing to help. I know people who have dealt with situations like this." Emma's heart pounded. "Help? With what?" "All kinds of things. Legal advice. Safety plans. I can connect you. But you need to be ready. Are you?" She looked Clara square in the eye, uncertainty clawing at her as she considered the offer. Just when she had started to hope, another storm was brewing. Before she could respond, Lila's laughter rang through the house, reminding Emma of everything she had to protect. Could she really step into the unknown again? "Emma?" James called from the other room. "Is everything okay?" Clara's brow furrowed slightly, her concern evident. Emma felt the walls closing in. She had to make a choice, and with each passing second, David's looming shadow loomed larger. "Let me think," she finally said, her voice a whisper, more to herself than anyone else. As 1,000 thoughts raced through her mind, Emma knew that David's presence was only the beginning. In the distance, she could almost hear the chaos brewing, a storm threatening to engulf them all. Could she find the strength to confront the past? What would she choose when everything she cherished hung in the balance? James stood in the living room, anxiety coiling tightly in his chest. He'd just faced David, a shadow from his past that threatened everything he was trying to build. Where was the old James, the man who thrived on power and control? He felt lost among the whirlwind of emotions swirling around him now. "Everything okay?" Lila's chirpy voice floated from the other room, innocence shimmering in her words. The girl was a beacon of light in the dark clouds that loomed over him. "Yeah, Lila," he called back, looking at Emma, who seemed a world away. Her eyes were clouded with uncertainty, and he felt a sharp pang for the daughter he hadn't known, the family he desperately wanted to belong to again. Clara joined him, her eyes filled with understanding as she approached. "It really can get better, you know," she said quietly. "But both of you have to be on the same page." James clenched his fists. "I'm ready to fight for her. For them." Clara studied him for a moment. "It's not just about fighting, it's also about listening. Emma has her own fears, and you need to meet her where she is at." "I get that," he replied, urgency lacing his voice. "But David's back. He's a threat. Maybe he won TB if you both can be united in this." Clara glanced toward the hallway where Emma and Lila still chatted. "It's crucial to have a plan." "You're right," he conceded, frustration bubbling under the surface. "But how do I convince her to trust me again?" Clara's gaze softened. "You won't fully gain her trust overnight. Just show up for her and listen. Actions speak louder than words." "Yeah," he murmured, taking a deep breath. The weight of the conversation settled heavily on him. "I can't let David tear this apart. Let us start by figuring out how to work together first," Clara suggested, a glimmer of enthusiasm breaking through her concern. As they strategized in hushed tones, James's heart was already racing toward tomorrow. He needed Emma to see that he was serious. He didn't just want to be in her life, he wanted to change for both of them. Meanwhile, in the other room, Emma knelt beside Lila, appreciating her daughter's natural talent as the girl filled the page with vibrant colors. The flicker of joy brought a smile to Emma's face, even as her mind churned with uncertainty and worry. "Can we add lots of sprinkles?" Lila asked, excitement lighting up her eyes. "Absolutely," Emma replied, returning to the moment. "Sprinkles could make anything better, couldn't they? But those sprinkles couldn't cover up the storms brewing around them." "Mommy, look," Lila said, pulling Emma from her spiral of thoughts. "Our ice cream has a castle." Emma's heart swelled at the innocence her daughter brought to their lives. A castle for the ice cream? Perfect. But beneath that delight lay the worry, the creeping thoughts of David's threat pressed against her mind. "Everything okay?" James walked back in, Clara trailing behind him, a renewed sense of purpose stitched into his features. Emma met his gaze, all the emotions of the day flashing before her. She had to confront their past together to forge a new path. "We need to talk." James nodded, and the air shifted. Clara stepped back, sensing the need for a private conversation. "I'll give you two a moment," she said softly. "We don't have to do this alone," James began, urgency brimming in his voice. That's what Clara was saying. The worry in Emma's chest transformed into something dense and cautious. "But what if things don't change? Can we truly keep David away?" "I want to try," he responded earnestly. "I can be here for you. We can create a plan together, a real one." Her heart began to thaw, but doubts lingered like an uninvited guest. "You know, I've built a life without you. It's scary, James." His expression softened, vulnerability shining through. "I get that. I acknowledge that I abandoned you both. But I'm here now. I want to prove to you that I'm serious. Proving yourself isn't enough, I need to see that you don't just want to change, you truly have changed. I will show you, he replied, his voice filled with determination. I will spend every waking moment demonstrating I'm different. In that moment, as their eyes locked, something shifted between them, a flicker of understanding, a hint of trust. But Emma couldn't rush into this, she needed time, space to navigate the emotions swirling within her. I need more than promises, James. I need to know that Lila is safe, that I'm safe. He stepped closer, looking deeply into her eyes. You have my word. I'll do whatever it takes. With a sudden warmth spreading through her, Emma recognized the changing tides within her heart, the possibility of something blossoming again. Let us take it one day at a time. James nodded slowly, the weight of understanding settling in. One day at a time, I can do that if you'll allow me to. Okay, she whispered, hope shimmering in her gaze. Somewhere deep inside, she felt the chains of the past starting to loosen. But neither of them could shake the feeling that the storm might not have passed them yet. David's shadow loomed, ever present. As Lila's laughter echoed from the other room, they both knew they had a long journey ahead. But together, maybe, just maybe, they could find their way back to the light. Can we go get ice cream tomorrow? Lila shouted, peeking her head around the corner, her innocent grin disarming all tension. Emma glanced at James, and he returned her gaze with a smile that spoke of hope and new beginnings. Yes, sweet girl, we can, Emma promised, feeling her heart lift even amidst uncertainty. Together, they would face the challenges ahead, completely committed to a brighter future, one where love could grow amidst the sprinkles of life. A new dawn awaited. You need to subscribe now to witness the incredible journeys that await. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and let your voice be heard in the comments. Share your reactions and feelings about this heartfelt ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Be part of the community that believes in change, love, and new beginnings.